Hello, everybody. My name is Maxim Danilov, and I'm very glad to be on this conference and present my talk for all on this conference. It's awesome. And my talk is about how to work with OpenAPI documentation, or how I work with OpenAPI documentation in my project. And I offer you an alternative view on this process. Who I am? My name is Maxim Danilov. I am more than 26 years in commercial software development. More than 9 years I am deep involved in projects with Python and Django, and over 6 years I work with different JavaScript frameworks for frontend. Also, I provide the free mentoring for newbies in programming, and I'm also award-winning mentor in engineering. All my slides for this talk you can find by this link, and also some examples of code you can find there. Before I start, I want to say thank you to my family for the support. At first, thank you to my wife, Elena. He supported me. Thank you to my animals, Marcel and Kisa. And also special thanks for my children, Maya and Mark, because they create illustration for all my presentation in this year. Thank you, Maya and Mark. And let's go to the problem, part 1. OpenAPI specification defines how to describe interface of our HTTP APIs. OpenAPI specifications is important, and why we need it? We need it because we can document expected behavior of APIs, or other words, we can document the contract in between client and API. And second, we need OpenAPI documentation, and we can use it as source for auto-generated code. For example, we can create clients for consumers of API, or we can create server, API server, or we can create simply models. Also, OpenAPI documentation used in test-driven development. Also, we use it in integration tests. And also, those documentation allows me to develop, to split development for front-end teams and back-end teams, and they can work independently. I don't need to say more. OpenAPI documentation is important, and OpenAPI specification offer me the form how I can create this document. Of course, we have also alternatives how I can document my APIs. For example, you can find the other standard API blueprint. It's written not in YAML, it's written in Markdown, and I like it a little bit more because it's a little bit more usual for me, but API blueprint is a little bit outdated standard. Also, you can find RAML. RAML is standard, seems like OpenAPI spec in YAML, but they have their own some differences. And of course, I understand exists more alternative how I can describe my REST APIs. Also, I can describe other APIs. For example, for not HTTP protocols, I have async API specification. This is a new extension, I can say so, for OpenAPI specification, but for other protocols, for WebSocket, for QtAPI protocols, and many others. I'm not agree with some steps which already included in async API, but this is only on the first stage and growth, and I think later it all will be improved and extended and so on. Also, if we work with GraphQL, we can use GraphQL tool to describe my API, which works with GraphQL, etc. And important OpenAPI motto is properly defined OpenAPI documentation allows both for humans and for humans and for computer to discover how to interact with remote services. And what about discover? How to discover? If we work, if our OpenAPI created with Python and Django, and if it's built with Django REST framework, to find documentation for my APIs, Django REST framework placed it usually by one URL, by one path. If I work with Spring framework with Java, it recommended for me to store my documentation, OpenAPI documentation, by other paths. If our server created with FastAPI, FastAPI offer me other place to store my OpenAPI documentation. And every time, if I don't know with which technology it was created, it's a little bit weird to find the YAML, Schema YAML file or OpenAPI JSON file. That's why it's a first problem. OpenAPI specification does not offer definition on how my OpenAPI documentation can be organized for easy discovery. We don't have any standards or we don't have any recommendation for that. And this is the first problem. Go back to OpenAPI motto, and properly defined OpenAPI specification documentation allows both humans and computers. Okay, to discover something. What about humans? If I open human readable OpenAPI YAML, in reality, it's not readable. We also have some visualization tool, but also it's not easy to read, not easy to understand what happens there. Because it's usually the big OpenAPI documentation, it's a big file and it's too complex to understand. And this is a problem. I see this is a mixed up concept. Human readable, it is not human understandable. And what about computer? Probably computers, machines can read YAML file better. But if I start to search a problem, usually we can find parsing errors, especially for PHP Symfony framework. You can see YAML parsing error on valid YAML file or YAML parse error by Kubernetes. That's why I want to say the big OpenAPI specification, it's really hard for both, for human and for computers to discover anything, especially to discover bugs in my OpenAPI documentation. This is a second problem. And why we need also YAML file, because if I create internal YAML file for my project, I can create with YAML code generator endpoints from internal YAML. And after I can create external services or emulate or mock external services with external YAML file. And I can use created endpoints with integration there. And problem is if I have a big OpenAPI documentation for services, to get it, to parse it, and to create code, it consumes too many CI/CD minutes in a month. and therefore is very expensive for a big project. For example, I can describe a real project. We have one big messy monolith project which built it on Django and Django REST framework. Also, you have satellites microservices with micro Django. Also, it's Django Ninja included there. Also, it's Flask included there. Somehow Fast API included. Also, we have some endpoints with Lightstar. It's connected with AWS Lambda API and with Google Cloud API, and also you can find some Java endpoints written with Java and endpoints written with PHP. And this big project, if I start to collect all documentation for all API, this is like a monster which we try packed in YAML, and which problem we have also obtained at first. OpenAPI specification is a formal standard. This is not a rule. That's why some developers not follow this standard. The second problem is we have different standards from OpenAPI specification, and also a ratio standard appears, and many different API documented with different standards. And also, the automatically generated OpenAPI YAML on the end was never fully correct according to the chosen standard. And this is the next problem. And right now we can go back to solution. Max, you can say me, Max. You described too much problem, but what do you offer? And my solution is easy. I offer you to take the idea, divide and conquer, and I offer you to split your big OpenAPI documentation in the smallest possible fragment. What it means, smallest possible fragment? In this case, smallest fragments which you can find in OpenAPI documentation is a description of single entry point or single root. Usually it's implemented. We have method handler which choose view accordingly to the request method. For example, we have method handler for request post, method post, or we have method handler for request method patch. And don't forget, also request method includes request method options. And what I offer to use a request method options like a source for YAML file which describes all implemented views for this root. And what is method options? HTTP method options is exactly what I need. I can send request without body. I can get response which can contain body. It is safe. It's independent. It's no cacheable, not allowed in HTML forms. It's exactly what I need for development. And how it works? Simply options, request method options view collected YAML file, generated YAML file for single entry point. If I go higher on the single service which collected some URLs, one URL or some routes, in this case we have their standard YAML composer which collected small YAML files from single entry points. And if I go higher to global infrastructure, we have again YAML composer which collected from dedicated services already generated YAML files for whole service, single service. You can see, and YAML composer generated big YAML file for whole project. or for whole structure. Important is the source of truth of URLs or redirects we have in routing table by web server, or if it's placed on AWS, we have root table. And this is source of truth for YAML composer to collect YAMLs from single services. And global overview from YAML generation pipeline. If a request goes to the company YAML composer goes through whole service routes, collected YAMLs, and every service YAML composer collected small YAMLs through request method options from every single route. And advantages for every single route, usually we use, if we write with Python, they all, we use doc strings in by views to document our single view. And advantages of doc strings, we can use doc strings to generate documentation for developers. It's supported from linters, doc strings collapsible in IDE, and many other advantages we have find if we use doc strings like a provider for YAML generation for single entry point for single method dispatcher. And real implementation on Python, how it works, you can find by this query code. It's realized on Python. Like example, I can show you how it works. We have the big project. This big project has many different URLs. It's not easy to work with that. How it seems in raw form. In raw form, it seems like a mess. But one route generates, for example, for me, barcode in different forms. And if I take it and if I send method option with Postman, you can see easily how it works. Sorry, I don't start the Postman, but if I send method option, you can see I get YAML file, and this YAML file contains only description for one single route for one get method. And this is exactly what I want to show you. If I split YAML file on the small parts to work with that in text form or in with visualization, it's easy for everybody, and also it's faster for every computer or every testing process. Okay, and which benefits I have? At first, I have a clear YAML location for every single route. At second, it's easy to use in test to get YAML for some for test for some route. I simply can ask the test route to generate for me small YAML file. And of course, CI/CD pipelines works much faster because I don't need to download the whole YAML file. I download only what I need. And smaller YAML file is much more human readable, etc. And why I speak with my presentation on OpenAPI initiative thread? Because my OpenAPI initiative is I offer for OpenAPI specification or to add a recommendation to use HTTP method options as source of OpenAPI documentation for selected route. Important is, don't matter which protocol this route handled, we can mix HTTP method options also for example, if WebSocket service implemented of this route. This is my initiative, and I hope I see this my recommendation in next versions of OpenAPI specification. Summary. A summary is easy. OpenAPI documentation for API is important. OpenAPI YAML generation process is complex, and if we split big YAML file in small YAMLs, it can improve the usability of our service, and it can make easier life of developers. Options method can be used to get documentation for single route, and especially for my project, docstrings can be used to generate OpenAPI documentation. I wish you to be happy with documentation. My name is Maxim Danilov, and slides and code from all my talk on conferences you can find by this link. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye. I'm ready for your questions. Thank you.